Hello and welcome. I am Aino Silvia Tali. I'm the Leadership Development Manager at Helmes Group. Today we are introducing our 6-month experiment of how to successfully manage hybrid and remote working. Hybrid teams, remote work, the new norm, future office, all those topics have been really on top of a lot of companies' minds. And Helmes is also joining this global discussion. We carried out a half-a-year scientific experiment with our software development teams to find out what actually makes remote work successful and how to support our people the best way possible. Today with me, I also have Katariina Roosipu from Helmes Group. She is our head of marketing. And she will introduce why this topic is actually so important to companies like us.
Well, the actual reason is very simple. We all want to live a really happy and fulfilling life. And work could and actually should be a part of that really good and happy life. In that sense, we can say that a quality of life is a co-creation of an employee and an employer. And as Helmes is a global software development company, it means that we are working together with top talents in IT. And our secret goal is to work together with them for a really long time to nurture these valuable relationships. And of course, it is also a very business critical challenge for us, because these people are the actual guarantee of our service quality. So when the times changed, we had to face these questions. What does this forced remote work mode actually mean for us as a company? How can we support our people in the best way possible? And even when we take a look at the future, what are the expectations for the future office? So these were quite, I can say, business critical questions. And as we have a responsibility for more than actually 1,000 employees, we wanted to tackle this challenge really thoroughly. And this was the reason why we also engaged, in addition to practitioners, we engaged also scientists from Milton to take this quite a long, 6 months long journey.
Thank you, Katariina. First, before we jump into describing the entire experiment, a few organizational notes. If you have any questions during today's event, please feel free to submit them in this questions and answers box on your screens. You can also fill in your profile information there, your name and email, so that we can get back to you also and send you also some additional information. Today's event will be recorded, so this can also be shared later on. And feel free to submit the questions whenever you have. We will get back to them at the end of the event. And if you don't have time to cover all the questions at once, then we will definitely send you written answers via email later on. Today, here with me, I also have Eva-Maria Kangro from Milton. Eva-Maria is a psychologist and change management partner at Milton. And together with Milton, we carried out this 6-month half scientific experiment at Helmes. Today, we have been in our home offices for more than 1 year already. So why did we actually start this journey and experiment together? We had some quite important questions on our minds. So first, how to support our team's efficiency and well-being in this hybrid setting? What are the different tools, best practices, activities, processes, and also workplaces that support us in this new normality? What kind of new leadership practices and skills are needed to support teams from distance? And also what will happen to the future of office? So these were the questions that we had on our minds when we kicked off this longer project. And we actually aim to not just rely on our gut feeling or use some general practices, but really to find out what is the best way that suits us the best way possible. So first, a little bit about the process and experiment as such. We had 8 software development teams as piloting teams participating, and 5 teams as a control group. Altogether, around 100 people who participated. The journey lasted for 6 months, and together with preparations and recaps and analysis even longer than that. We guaranteed 2 ergonomic workplaces to our employees who wanted to try out this really flexible format and work both from the office and from their homes. And in this process, we tested out more than 10 different collaboration and hybrid work formats and models. And yeah, in order to really go thoroughly and to find out what are the best practices and what are the challenges that we can maybe ease in a bit, we involved some good practitioners and scientists also as partners to make sure that we are on the right track. And for that, Eva, maybe you can comment, what is the scientific theory behind the project?
Yeah, thank you. I'd love to. Firstly, in order to answer the questions, we really relied on the evidence from the psychological science and research from the leadership studies. So we assessed firstly intrinsic motivation based on DC Ryan self-determination theory. Then the teamwork quality based on Google model that we relied on. Then we took team morale into the account as well by the liberators. And finally, we focused on the cooperation as well. How do people really cooperate well? So, first of all, the scientific background, which is really important to make the profound conclusions. Secondly, we were following the teams during 6 months. So the longest journey allowed us to assess the changes and the effects in the real time scope. Because if we just assess people's behavior or attitudes once, then it's something else than observing them during the time scope. Thirdly, we also involved a control group to our experiment, which allowed us to differentiate between experimental interventions and other common variables. So we really observed the differences, or searched for differences, which wasn't that easy at all, actually. And fourthly, the agile software development matches really well with scientific mindset, I would say. So the conclusions result from step-by-step experimenting, and we take feedback into account and change the plan if needed. So it's kind of cooperation and co-creation and step-by-step analyzing.
Yeah. And to maybe give a better understanding, how did the journey itself look like and what was the process? Then based on those scientific theories and base information that we had, we developed a 10-question survey, or questionnaire, that all our teams filled in bi-weekly during this 6-month period. So this means quite frequent feedback loop and information on how teams are doing, how people are feeling in regards of teams' efficiency and well-being. And based on those questionnaires, actually team leads got real life, like in real-time feedback on their dashboards to see what are the metrics in their teams. And we also provided feedback from psychologists, like very individualized approach and feedback to teams, how their teams are doing, what are the things that are going really well and to keep up, and what are the areas that might need more focus. So this very individual consultation. We carried out cooperation retrospectives with our team leads every month, and also within the teams, checking in how are we doing. Also, we did some more in-depth conclusions on Meet project and also at the end of it. We also had focus group discussions to actually involve more people and also so-called remote work skeptics, perhaps, to have a wider opinion represented. And based on those surveys and also checking in team metrics, did also statistical analysis to make sure that it's not just our opinion or feeling, but actually the real results from the teams. And here is also an example of this team leads dashboard where you can see those results in real time, pretty much.
Well, and I would like to emphasize the value of combining qualitative and quantitative data. So we really get some kind of information from surveys and some other kind of information from focus groups and retros, for example. And what I really saw was valuable was the instant feedback cycle we had. So that's bi-weekly, all the team leads who were participating in the experiment group got the feedback about the highlights and also the attention points, what to make better, perhaps, and talk with team members with. And so it was like a mentoring process, actually, where the team leads were nudged to pay more actively attention to people's well-being and health and effectiveness, and yes, to the team health as a whole. And finally, when we were looking at all the massive data we had collected during the 6 months, we also invited Tom Booth to participate as our scientific advisor. Tom is the scientist and a senior lecturer of psychometrics at the University of Edinburgh. And thanks to Tom, we reached some latent results, which really turned out to be quite expressive. And very soon we're going to open those results as well.
Yeah, so this is the brief overview of how did the experiment process look like. So now we're going into this results part of what did we actually find out within this 6-month journey. And first, before jumping into the conclusions, let's ask for a comment from one of the participants in the pilot team. Betty Vainküla is an analyst in one of the participant teams. Betty, please comment, what do you like about hybrid or remote work, and what is positive about it for you?
I absolutely love working from home because I save so much time. I do not have to commute extra to work or to home. So if I use this time very wisely, I can do sport, I can spend time with my family and friends. And as I'm also a competitive sportsman, it makes everything so much easier for me because I can go to training camps, I can go to competitions. And as I love also traveling and this opportunity that I can actually work somewhere else than Estonia or Tallinn, it also makes I enjoy it way more, the work and everything. So it gives me a kind of happiness, and I hope it shows in the work as well.
Thank you, Betty. And as Betty, we also asked for this opinion from all of our workers in the pilot project. And we found out that actually 90% of our employees would also carry on working in a hybrid way in the future. More than 50% of people would prefer working from home, sometimes coming to the office, and around 36% mostly from office, with some home office days or remote work option. And only actually a few percentage of people would prefer fully working from the office or home. So this really shows that this hybrid work and remote work is the new norm. And we also checked in how productive and efficient do our team members feel working remotely. In addition to our classic metrics that we follow in our teams about team well-being, about customer satisfaction and financial results, we also asked each team member how productive do they feel working from home. And the positive surprise was that 85% of people actually said that they are as efficient or even more efficient and productive working from home office. At the same time, it's important to note that there are 15% of people who feel not as productive working from home. And definitely this group also needs attention and support. And the reasons for that can be very different. It can be that the home environment doesn't really support it, or maybe they don't have a good quiet place where to focus from. Or it can be just an individual preference and they enjoy working in the office setting surrounded by the colleagues. So the personal differences can be there, but the trend is that most people will carry on working from hybrid setting, and most of them also feel productive while doing it. We also kept an eye on teams' psychological well-being during this experiment, as we know that this is one of the key aspects of teams' effectiveness and success. So Eva, maybe you can comment a little bit more about that.
Yes, actually, our experiment revealed something extremely important. And what it is, so as we can see here, when team leads paid conscious attention to people's well-being, for example, initiating open, how are we doing, conversations, and so on, the team's psychological safety was likely to increase during the 6-month period. And we saw quite an opposite trend in those teams where mental fitness and well-being were not in the focus of leadership activities. And so why to talk about psychological safety at all? Actually, yes, as Silvia already said, this is not just because of fun or because everything else is done already. It's because psychological safety has been found to be a core predictor of team vitality and effectiveness. And what does it mean? It means the courage to be vulnerable, to share openly ideas, to make mistakes and learn from mistakes, and to share your concerns and your questions openly with other people in your team. So how does it work? By the psychology or how human brain works? Our brain just works better when we feel safe. That easy as it is. And secondly, we also saw that within pilot teams, the sense of clarity about priorities and execution plans and also decision-making process were likely to increase. The clarity, the sense of clarity, the sense of control was likely to increase. And again, you can see the control group where the same quality just went down a little bit. And what I can see here from the researcher perspective and psychologist perspective is that such clarity and sense of control just is another core component of motivation and long-term effectiveness. We need to be to have the clear atmosphere, the clear rules, the clear borders in order to function well. And the more there is volatility, uncertainty, and also the pressure by environments, the more we need the clearness and confidence. So these two key findings really point out that high bars require conscious care of human needs.
So basically what we can conclude from that is that those differences between the piloting teams and the control group mostly laid in actually having more awareness around those topics and addressing them and having those open conversations in the teams. And when team leads and team members together pay attention to those areas, they are likely to increase over time.
Exactly.
And from here, we go on to what were the challenges that we found out from the project. The 6 main challenges that we found out that teams and individuals also experienced during working in a hybrid setting are: first, that the communication and cooperation requires more effort. It takes more time and is not as easy and smooth. It's sometimes difficult to learn from each other, and solving problems takes more time. Also that there's way more pressure on middle-level managers, and a team lead or a manager is the critical component in actually keeping a team in a really good shape, keeping the projects running and the customer relationships being taken care of. So when a team lead feels this really increased workload and also intensive kind of increase in how intense the work is, then the team also feels it. So it's very important for organizations to support their middle managers in acknowledging these areas and supporting them in coping with this new situation. Also that people are missing social interaction and also the spontaneity and just human fun and casual conversations with your colleagues. So we are making jokes here that you actually have to plan the spontaneous activities. They don't just randomly happen when we're in a remote work setting. It's important to take care of our mental shape, and sometimes it's very difficult to keep this balanced life when we're working from home. And most of our people actually felt that it's when I start the workday and end it is somewhat shaky. It's difficult to shut off my brain after finishing my workday. Also that I'm dropping or forgetting some really good healthy practices. So all these areas of being in the best shape need focus. It's difficult to keep people engaged and feeling the sense of belonging in the company. So another area to keep in mind when planning activities at work. And it's very important to note that remote work doesn't suit everyone. Although many people enjoy those new flexible ways and save time from commuting and all of that, there are still people who don't enjoy working remotely or get tired of it. So it's important to note that as well. And from here, actually, I wanted to ask a comment from one of our piloting team members, Mihkel Vetemaa, who is an analyst in one of the teams. Mihkel, please describe what were the challenges for you in this kind of forced remote work setting?
Hi, everybody. My name is Mihkel. And I am actually one of those people who really enjoy occasional remote work. Actually, for the past 2 winters, I have been working from sunny Vietnam. However, such a long and forced remote work period, with this, I really do have some challenges to tackle. For example, I am quite a social animal, and I really love spending time with my team. I love being silly, and I like to do stupid. I like to do stupid jokes. Sometimes I have been doing snow angels on the floor, and so on. So I miss those silly jokes during the lunch breaks. And if I can't have that connection with the team for a long time, for a long period, then I do start to feel a bit disconnected from my colleagues and also from the outside world. And this can cause a bit loneliness. I think so, yes. And secondly, I really like going to the office. So I like the act itself. I like to go to the office, and then I like to move around in the office. I like the hallways. I really like the meeting rooms, and I like the coffee machine that we have in the kitchen. And when you're walking around in the office, you have all those inspiring teammates and colleagues from other teams, and they are like really busy doing their things, or they're sharing some of their stories. And this buzz and all that professional environment around me really inspires me to keep up with others and really step up. And if I don't feel that connection, and if I don't get that environment for a long period, then I do start to feel a bit stressed maybe, and I feel a bit disconnected from the world and maybe trapped inside my house, and I definitely miss the professional environment. So yeah, sorry about my stumbling, but these are my two main challenges when working from home. Thank you.
So we are social animals, and really our brain needs the variety as well. So that's the autonomy we need to choose whether where to do our work, or whether we choose to go to the office and communicate with other people, or whether just stay home and have this bad work day. It's really important that we have the opportunity to choose, and also to fulfill our needs as a social animal, to have the connectedness to communicate with other people.
So we can conclude that there are very many benefits and positive sides to remote working, but when it's something that's forced and we feel that we don't have the autonomy or flexibility to decide, it comes with the challenges. So it's also time now to wrap into the next steps and action items. So when we're jumping to what should we do and what are the recommendations, both for us at Helmes and also for other companies thinking about how to support remote work the best way possible, then the first recommendation and the kind of principle to follow is that one size does not fit all. This means that all our team members and individuals are different. They have different needs, different preferences, and we can't expect everyone to be on the same page in this. Also, the teams are very different. And also at Helmes, some of our teams are really happy working 100% remotely. Some want to come together every now and then, and some enjoy working together in the same room on a daily basis. So they are very different. And also thinking about these differences on an organizational level and also prioritizing this into the organization development strategy. It's important to keep in mind that there's no one size that suits everyone. The second recommendation is that companies should plan the work and the collaboration based on the nature of the work. It's very widespread opinion that when we talk about remote work, there are two categories, whether I'm working at home or at the office. But actually, this is not the best way how to approach this. It's more important to think about what is the nature or the type of the work that I'm doing and what is the best setting that would support that. We at Helmes think of work in 3 categories. It's individual focus time, or work that I can do independently on my own. Then cooperation and collaboration with my team members, problem solving, kicking off a new project, mentoring others, onboarding new people, maybe just brainstorming some totally new ideas. And social time. And this is very important as well, as important as individual focus time and team collaboration, to have this fun, non-work related rumble and just some good time spent with your colleagues. Also, we have come out with best leadership practices and team practices for supporting hybrid work. And they are organizing remote work agreements, or this kind of good collaboration agreements in the teams. And I don't mean here some bureaucratic documents that you will just write and will never really use, but really having those open conversations in the team. What are the best practices that are supporting us, and making agreements on those? How do I let my team know when I'm away from keyboard for a longer period? How do others know that I'm actually in this focus work mode and don't want to be disturbed? Are there some certain time frames that we all actually are together online, and so on? So agreeing those good principles in the teams and making sure that everybody knows this, also new people who are onboarding. We really believe at Helmes that one-on-one conversations are one of the best and most impactful leadership tools. So having these heart-to-heart conversations with your team members, and also some open team discussions around how we're doing as a team, how we are feeling in remote work setting, is something that we really engage and support. And it's important to also educate leaders here how to carry out those conversations so that they are really meaningful and helpful. As I mentioned, it's important to plan collaboration based on the nature of the work, not just thinking of whether it's home and office, but actually what kind of type of work it is and what collaboration is needed. We use a good practice of having remote work retrospectives once a quarter in our teams. And this is a kind of a check-in how we're doing as a team. Is there something that we want to change in our remote work agreement? Maybe we have some good new ideas. And maybe some old practices don't work anymore and we need to adjust them. Also, as this human interaction and social fun is somewhat dropped over the remote setting, it's important to plan this spontaneity and fun in the team. So set yourself maybe a goal to have a fun event with your team once a quarter. And maybe at first it has to be a virtual event if it's difficult to come together. But in the future also meeting up, even if you're working on distance. And it's important to follow a good principle. If one person is working remotely, this means everyone is remote. And what I mean by that is that if one person is working from their home or maybe even from another country, then these good principles of remote work and those principles that you agreed on in this remote work agreement should be followed by everyone so that nobody would feel left out or out of information loop. And from here, it's a good practical tool that we could recommend to use, thinking of what are the activities that we should do in the teams on a shorter time frame, like daily, weekly, or bi-weekly. What are some midterm activities, and what is the long-lasting things that we can do in the company? What is the strategy that we have for supporting remote work? So just one good practical tool that you can use as a thinking exercise. And here, actually, I would like to ask a comment from one of our piloting team leads, Ivar Heinola, to describe what did you find positive from this experiment, or what did you learn yourself as a leader?
Thank you, Silvia. Hello, my name is Ivar, and me and my team, we had a great opportunity to take part of this distributed work pilot project. And firstly, when I heard about it, I didn't wait for long, because any initiative at this point seems more reasonable than standing still or just going with the flow. So I took the opportunity and we were part of it. And during the project, I learned how important actually is to draw attention to our emotional well-being, and not just turning attention to it, but actually applying those skills to our managing practices as well. And while we are applying those practices, we also need to sign that people are not left alone. So as we don't meet physically in the offices, it is not so easy to actually sign their people are left in solitude and loneliness. So, and worst of all, if they are forced to be in isolation or in quarantine, and maybe they get sick. So we need to draw attention to these topics very much. And finally, we shouldn't stop here. We should take this knowledge and move on. Thank you.
So, thank you, Ivar. Yes, indeed, psychological fitness is like a currency of success, especially in the context of ongoing changes and pressure and uncertainty. However, the mental well-being or mental fitness is not a self-evident state, but it really needs conscious care. And this is what we are like to force and nudge more and more. So to open our eyes and see and consciously try to make our emotional well-being better. It needs action. It's only thinking about it is just the first step. But now we need to take the next step. And I really believe that the human-centered culture starts from individuals. It starts from every one of us. Silvia, what do you already do in Helmes in order to support people well-being? I know there is a lot of going on.
I think it's one of the biggest focus topics for us over the past year, how to develop really this personal well-being as a skill. And we're making jokes that it's as important as a web security course or some onboarding courses that we have, that really everyone would develop their skills of taking the best care of themselves. And yeah, we have done already different things. I think one of the main learnings for us is that in addition to our traditional Gallup engagement survey, we also now are using a well-being survey to regularly really check how our people are doing and how they're feeling. And kind of developing our HR strategies also around that, as well as leadership practices. We have carried out different trainings and inspiration seminars on health-related topics, on sleep, on what should we eat and how, about physical activity and really taking care of ourselves as a person. And it's a good, maybe practical tip for you as well, if you also feel sometimes that you have lost some good healthy habits, to think about one thing, what could I improve? For example, instead of waking up and opening your laptop, do you have a routine of taking a maybe 20-minute walk before every work day? And a good tip here is to give also this promise to one of your colleagues that, hey, I'm doing this kind of goal for myself. And maybe you can give those promises to each other and really also check upon each other, how is it going? And this really helped some of our colleagues to start some new good healthy habits. And with those healthy and practical topics, it's really interesting how an organization has to take more care of those and definitely paying more attention to those than before. And one of our colleagues said it's like, you know, with a good diet that everybody wants to know what is the recommendation on how to get fit. And you read all this theory and you get all those recommendations, but it really doesn't help you if you don't apply those practices in your real life. So in addition to just talking about those things, we really need to help our people to start those healthy habits, to really take care of themselves. And I think it's also important here to train our leaders and raise the awareness around those well-being topics. And also that our leaders would be good examples themselves, starting from themselves. If I take care of myself and I'm feeling in a kind of good mental and physical state, I can also be the best leader for my team. And yeah, again, this psychological safety and the good team vibes and team feeling is something that we really believe in. It starts from that. So establishing this good feeling in the team, and only after that we can really challenge and push our barriers. And from here, actually, another topic that many companies are asking and thinking about is what will happen to the future of office. So this is also something that we are really focusing on now in Helmes. What we have learned is that actually maybe a bit controversially, even though many people are working remotely, we don't want to decrease our office space. It's actually the other way around. We want it to be a really good place where people can come together and enjoy being together, learning from each other, sharing ideas, and also having the social discussions. So we see that in the future, office will be this kind of a social hub. And we really happily tell to all of our employees that you're always welcome to the office. And if needed, and if you want, you will always have your own working place as well. If possible, supporting team members to have 2 ergonomic workplaces so that they have this autonomy and flexibility to decide whether they want to work from the office or home, and that it's not too kind of fixed or regulated, but having this freedom to decide is very important. And also, we are working on, together with some interior architects, on how to redesign our office, because we see that its functions are changing. We really need to plan our office layout in a different way, meaning that probably there will be some rooms that teams are sharing between themselves. Maybe some rooms will be more focused on collaboration and brainstorming. And maybe we need more social spaces so that when people actually come together, they really feel good having those discussions in the office and sharing ideas. Because, you know, innovation doesn't really happen when you're working home alone behind your computer, but it actually helps to share and discuss ideas with your colleagues and to build on top of each other. And maybe, Eva, you can also comment from the kind of psychologist perspective, what are some aspects of a room or an office space that really kind of support working well there?
Perhaps I would add just one thing, which is bring the nature into the office. The more we have green space around us, the better we feel, the better the brain works, and the lower the stress is. So bring plants in. That's my advice.
It's one quick fix. And in addition to that, I think it's really important to think in more flexible ways of how to plan an office, so that we can test and maybe also change and adjust and learn as we go, not really to try to develop the entire office and then find out that actually this room is not really supporting us. So these were the topics that we found out from our experiment, and we also concluded as practical examples. So now to recap, what is this recipe or formula for successful remote work? So I had to disappoint you, there is no one single silver bullet that will solve all the problems, but there are some critical components that every office and organization can keep in mind and focus on that will help you to manage your team successfully. So first, the ingredients, to recap, nurturing mental health and this kind of well-being skill as a new normal, focusing on psychological safety and a good team vibes, supporting effective cooperation in the teams with collaboration retrospectives and remote work agreements, developing some good practical checklists, both for individual, for taking care of myself in a remote setting, but also for team collaboration. Planning cooperation based on the nature of the work, so not just work from the office or from home, but whether it's individual work, collaboration with the team, or social fun time. And keeping in mind that it really needs individual approach and that no size doesn't fit all. So these are the kind of key ingredients and really important components of remote work management. And how to put this all together? So what is this recipe instructions? First, experiment with the quantities yourself. Test out what works for your setting, for your organization, and learn from it. Use this good agile approach. Implement the change, experiment, learn, and adjust when needed. Involve the team. People definitely have different opinions and different ideas. Sometimes we don't even know what we don't know, but creating together, we can come up with better solutions. And keep this really good, open, and curious mind to experiment. So this is the recap of how to proceed with the remote work team settings. And we're happy to share our experience. So now we are going into the Q&A part. Thank you for listening. If you have any questions, you can submit them in the chat or use the option to ask directly in this live conversation, or send us an email later on and we will get back to you. So I know that we already have one question in there. Please.
Oh yes, hi. I'm Mikael from Helsinki, Finland, and I'm at the moment co-writing a book on employee branding and employee experience. And one topic that I've been wondering about is performance management in the future. Is that something that you guys been discussing at Helmus? Will you be changing your own performance management process to somehow fit or to be adjusted in this, whatever the world of work will look like for your company?
Thank you for your question. Well, performance management as such is really closely intertwined for us with the overall team efficiency and well-being. We actually use 3 main metrics for all of our software development teams. We are assessing team engagement and well-being on a quarterly basis. We're asking for customer feedback and satisfaction regularly, and following different financial metrics and the profitability of the teams. So these are the 3 areas that we really focus on, and we give this autonomy and freedom to teams to operate in the best way they see fit. As long as those metrics are doing okay, we don't see the need to really force some stronger performance management regulations or anything, but we actually see that teams are doing really good themselves if we focus on those 3 main areas. So one thing that I mentioned before, in addition to the engagement survey, we already implemented using this well-being survey as well to get a better aspect of how our people are doing. But we really believe that if finances are okay, if customers are doing great and our teams are doing well, then the performance will just follow. Thank you for your question. I also have some questions now here from the chat. So one question is, what kind of changes Helmes plans to implement in our office spaces thanks to the new knowledge? So one thing is that we see that we definitely need more video call boxes, rooms where people can really easily and smoothly organize audio calls. Also that the team rooms need this video conferencing setup so that if some team members are working from distance, they can really easily join the conversations in the office and be more connected to the team. We also see that some of the room functions need to change. Probably we will have 3 different types of rooms. Rooms where people can really focus on their individual work and have these quiet corners and with their own fixed desks, not sharing desks with others. Then we will have rooms that really support team building, brainstorming, working together. And then maybe some rooms are, as not really fixed to certain team, but actually when teams are working mostly remotely, but then they can come together and work in this good room. Also, we see that there needs to be more focus on the social areas so that people, when they come together, they feel really encouraged and supported to have those open discussions in the office, not to keep it quiet and calm in the hallways. Because if you see each other so rarely, it's very important that we take the maximum out of those social interactions. So we're also thinking around how to make our office more social in this sense. Then there's the second question. What are your suggestions for survival for those who really don't cope with the remote mode? And what can you do to avoid burnout? So this is a big one, and it's something that we're really constantly thinking about. And I guess it really starts from this individual approach. And as I mentioned, having those open one-on-one conversations around it, and also different well-being check-ins with the team. And having this trust and open conversations really shows us where are those areas that need more focus or where people are not doing that well. And of course, we also have experienced that. We have experienced higher workload, more pressure, some people experiencing burnout, and we really take this very seriously. But I guess it starts from first acknowledging myself. How am I feeling? What are the things that keep me in good shape? And having this trust and courage in the teams to share those experiences and address those. And sometimes, if needed, also asking for external help from a professional. Maybe, Eva, you want to comment that topic a bit, because this burnout is something that we really see as an important thing.
It's very much here, the burnout issue. And indeed, it's not easy to see the early signs of burnout. It's kind of the problem is hiding itself quite successfully, and we as human beings, we are kind of wearing the masks quite successfully as well, because we don't want to look like unsuccessful or someone who can't manage. So we're trying to do our best, and when we don't see that something bad is hiddenly going worse and worse, then from some point it's, I can say, too late, but the recovery takes time. So my recommendation is always keep your eye on the people around yourself. So to see the signs that something is different with that with that person, or if you don't see herself or himself as a colleague often enough, then just build the routines every week. Talk about how are we doing as a team, as individuals. So just build the new routines about getting better know about each one. So it's step-by-step process, actually. Then we, from the one point, feel courage enough to open ourselves and express the concerns as well.
Yeah. I think it's important to address this topic from multiple levels. One is increasing this individual awareness, training all our employees to be more conscious and aware about those topics. Second is supporting our leaders to address it and also be a good example themselves. And third is having cross-organization strategy and approach in terms of well-being and mental health as such. And it's always a good idea to involve some external specialists if needed. For example, we have a health insurance in Helmes, and you can register consultation with a psychologist if needed. And we have also organized, for example, group coaching sessions where in a really safe and supported environment you can share your opinions. So there are different ways of approaching this, but it definitely needs conscious effort from different levels within the organization. And I think that it's also maybe a good tip to openly share those also lessons learned and maybe some struggles that we have been through. It's not it's always very beachy, but we're all human. And if somebody's struggling, then we want to support. Then there's a question about remote work skeptics, and that there are those people who maybe hope that everything is going back to normal and not really adjusting their ways of working. So what would we tell to those people? It's a very interesting topic. We also saw this from our experience that there were some people who maybe hoped that this old situation and the kind of used and normal situation will soon come back, and that I don't have to change anything in my way of working. I will just hope that it will soon go away, kind of closing my eyes and it will go. And we also saw that this thinking really made it more difficult for them to cope with the situation, to adapt. And instead of maybe adjusting their ways of working and thinking about it, they were kind of fighting against it or pushing back. So that adaptation to the new situation took more time and more effort. Eva-Maria, maybe you have also comments regarding this, how to adapt or maybe get your mind around this change.
It's the easy receipt would be just accept the reality, not fight with that, and then first individually, then with your team, with other people, just think proactively what to do, how to cope well. So it's about like enlarging your scope of viewpoints. So there is always possible to survive. It's just the question of learning for new ways. And when we do it together, then it's much more easier than alone, because we are social animals.
And we have time for the last question here. What is the first step that you would recommend to take if I would like to start implementing your suggestions to my to support my team? So yeah, we have offered multiple different ways of approaching this topic and some practical tips and tricks, but I also understand that it might feel overwhelming or there's so many things to focus on at once. So what would be the kind of good first recommendation? Maybe you have some ideas here.
Just to start acting. And also, I would like to add that just sharing concerns and just telling, sharing your problems and just tell about negative things freely is important as well. So, for example, we in our team in Milton, we have the ventilation hour in a week. So we just ventilate there, talk about negative things only. That's fine. And then after that, it's much more cleaner being.
I think it's also very important to maybe, if needed, lower our expectations towards ourselves and also our teams, that if times are tough, it's okay to feel maybe a bit tired and exhausted, and we're all in this together. Maybe sometimes it needs a new agreement with the team and also maybe with clients, but it's okay to take it a bit easier if times are tough. So maybe setting an example there. And my recommendation would really be to take care of yourself first. If you are feeling well, in the best shape possible, then only then you can be really good support for your team members and team. So think about how does your day look like? How do I feel the best way possible? Maybe what are some practical healthy tips that I can implement into my day? And only then, if I feel really good, I can be a really good colleague to others as well.
And also, other people appreciate it very much if you're sharing your concerns and also your tips and tricks, which help you.
Yeah. So thanks a lot for those questions, and thank you for joining the event today. I do hope that you got some practical thoughts and tips and tricks how to carry on with this topic in your organizations. If you have any questions later on, feel free to send us an email. We're really happy to get back to you, and we will also share some information from this event and our future practical tools on how to successfully manage remote and distributed work. Thank you for joining, and have a nice day.